What's up, guys? So we actually know what cards are coming out over the coming months on eFootball because the database has been mined and the leakers have letting us know what cards are coming out. But there's actually another leaked card in this video here. So with this video that Konami have released, it looks like Lamine Yamal is going to be their new cover star, but there's actually an appearance of the old cover star Messi. So Messi's, I think it's 2011 version. It's when Barcelona, yeah, here we go. They had the yellow collar. So these cards or these images here are on PES 11, his first game. I think they're gonna release this PES 11 version of Messi. They haven't modeled in game, so hopefully he comes out and hopefully he comes out with that kit. They haven't done that before, releasing the kit, but it definitely would be very interesting to see. And then this is mine from the database a good few months ago now. Yeah, it's actually it's over a year ago, nearly 2 years ago now. All these Messi cards have been in the database, or these images rather, in the database for such a long time. You can see here, here's the yellow. That's Qatar Airways version, though. There's another yellow one here somewhere. That's younger hair, this longer hair one in the middle. Now Konami are always adding and taking cards out of the database with their images because they're kind of like placeholders. So all of these versions are supposed to be in the database. Like I think this version here wasn't out when this got leaked, and this is the 2015 very high weak foot version as well. There's the blue boot Messi. So they all are supposedly coming out eventually, and I think this is the version T08903 that came out as the ambassador pack at the start of the game. So Pro eFootball also has this list of players that got added to the database in some way or form in the 4.3 update, and we actually do know what's coming out on Monday. So on Monday we are getting Zico, Romario, and Danielson, and I think this pack could be one of the best for a few reasons. Zico, by the way, is just a really good player in this game. I have a old big time version, not even a booster, and he's still pretty decent. But apparently, this Zico is supposed to have a Showtime skill of Blitz Curler, and he has very high weak foot as well usually. So this guy will be insane. Like Blitz Curler, probably the best Showtime skill, but especially when you have it on both feet as well. So if he assume he has 32 levels like here, you can see we can get pretty much every stat we want above 85. There's only the only stat there not above 85 would be the lofted pass, and that's not even that important with the way this game plays. And we don't even know what his booster is yet. So Zico will be very strong, but I think the pick of the pack is Romario, and it's mainly because if you actually look at what his playstyle is, goal poacher. Romario's always been a fox in the box. Yeah, every single version's been a fox in the box. I'm 100% sure, and that's usually an issue. Fox the boxes at the moment aren't too great. There's a fox the box we're going to get to later in the video that was very good at the start of the game, but isn't now because of the way AI play. But Romario's like the exception. Most fox the boxes don't have good dribble in or good balance, not very nimble. But Romario has always been the exception, and he plays like a goal poacher. But now he is actually going to be a goal poacher, and I think he's going to be insane for that reason. If you compare him to previous cards, it's actually not a much of an upgrade. I think we compared it to this one earlier on stream. It's a pretty similar card. Obviously, this build isn't ideal. The only thing is this new Romario has increased curl and increased dribbling stat. So on that stats kind of point of view, it's not a major upgrade, but that goal poacher should make him a pretty good upgrade. And then the last player is the Nielsen. Now, the Nielsen's going to be a cross specialist. By the way, that newer Mario is going to have phenomenal finishing. The Nielsen's going to be a cross specialist. We don't know. I don't think we have confirmation if he's going to have edge crossing or not. It would be, useful on him, but his lofted pass is a bit low and his curl is a bit low. So I don't even know if the skill would be too effective. The Nielsen's always a bit of a kind of weird one in this game. He's probably one of the best dribblers in the game, but when you don't have any end product, it doesn't really matter how good your dribbling is because you can't pass or shoot. So you're really just dribbling into like losing the ball eventually when you try to release it. But he's definitely a fun player to play with, and if you can get him in AMF, obviously these positions are just wrong because the database isn't 100% accurate yet. We only have leaks. But if you can get him trained into AMF, you can cause a bit of chaos. But again, it is that issue of not having any end product. Another player on the list is Paul Scholes, and I think Paul Scholes is actually a very underrated player in this game. I reviewed this version of the card, and then there was a 50-player version. I think it might have been the Manchester United version. But when I used this Paul Scholes, it was one of my first videos to upload on YouTube, and I think the title was something like Iniesta with 95 finishing, because he was so nimble on the ball, so quick, and then obviously he had the very high finishing and high kick and power too. So if they decide again to go for like a creative playmaker or a whole player Scholes, I think he'll be very effective. There is an argument they could make him an orchestrator. I think these original legend versions are orchestrators. He's only 24 years old here. If they make like a 35 years old Skulls, it's definitely going to be an orchestrator. But we don't know exactly what age we're going for because this obviously is a old Skulls. This isn't the one that's been leaked. But I'm hoping. I think he'd be better as the more younger attacking version of Paul Scholes. We're also getting a Figo soon. I don't think Figo is going to be that great just because we've had so many versions of him. I'm pretty sure this version released recently, and I don't know. It's just I kind of think the story is if a player is kind of known for being good at lofted passes in real life, it doesn't translate well into the game, and I don't think he has the kind of burst of pace or the finishing to make him very effective on the right side. So that's a bit of a shame about Figo. Another player though that I think is a little bit underrated is Totti. Now you have to be smart when you use him. He's not going to be meta with loads of pace and stuff. You're gonna have to be a little bit more mindful when you use him. But if you just level him up like this, like look at these stats, that's very well rounded, very good in AMF or even second striker. I mean, you could play him centre forward because he's a creative playmaker, but I've talked numerous times about how inactive playstyle as centre forward is very good in this game. Next player we're gonna get is Roberto Carlos and Cafu, two fullbacks. I think the problem with Cafu is in this game, his default builds usually have pretty high dribbling, and I don't think he is that type of player. So I feel like he becomes a bit. If you level into his offensive stats, obviously his defending stats aren't gonna be high enough, but he's still not nimble enough going forward. So usually I'd recommend when you're building a Cafu card, kind of just focus on leveling his defense and take his high dribbling stats as like a little bonus at the start. Don't invest too much into it. He's definitely a solid player, but I would say Roberto Carlos is a lot better in this game because I think speed is very important for defending. I just notice if you can close down your opponent quicker, pretty much every player can tackle the ball. So if you can get to them quicker through speed or even aggression, aggression's a good stat for that as well. They're very effective defensively, and also this guy obviously has the shooting abilities. Some of his cards can play DMF, and I think if you can try set up a knock-on finesse like that, it's very good. We do have a Rivaldo coming. I have this card on my free-to-play account, and he doesn't even make the team. I just don't know. I just don't get on with this Rivaldo. I don't know. He is very nimble. He's got good shooting stats. I just something about the way he moves on the pitch. He has moments of brilliance, but not consistency really. This is the Fox of the Box I wanted to talk about because at the start of eFootball 25, I got this guy and he was probably my best player in the game. And it was because of how AI defending worked. It wasn't that strong. You could actually pass into space and play good football. And it meant a proper, goal scorer like Van Nistelrooy could be effective. But with the boost to AI defending, the way the game's gone is you kind of have to play spammier 1-2 passes and you need people who are better with the ball at their feet to play those 1-2 passes and dribble and stuff. So someone like Van Nistelrooy has fallen by the wayside. And today's update 4.3 didn't change the gameplay at all. I don't know what Konami are thinking, if they even want to change the gameplay. So unfortunately, I don't think this guy is going to be effective. But if we went back to the start of eFootball 25 gameplay, he would be very effective. Now this guy here, Pirlo, probably the best player in this pack or in this list of players. Pirlo's amazing. Like if you have a previous version, you don't need to upgrade because there's actually no real way they can make him better. His stats are already elite in every area. I mean, I guess he doesn't have the aerial ability, but I don't know if they're going to give him the aerial ability. But Pirlo is one of those players. I think if you're someone who spends on the game, pretty much everyone should have. Yeah, like look, I had the other one there just to kind of demonstrate that they're all as good as each other. Really, you can't really get better. I think they kind of over leveled Pirlo at the start, and then kind of backed themselves into a corner there. Another player is Saviola. Now he came out recently in that I think there was 3 Barcelona epics you can get for free. You were lucky enough, and he was one of them. This guy's very good. He's kind of like Romario, but actually better at dribbling. Like you can see, he is a bit faster. So he's more of a dribbling than Romario. He won't have the same finishing. He'll have lower curl and lower kicking power, but he is good enough to cause chaos. I would say the next version would have pretty much this type of card, but you'd be able to get that kicking power up to like 88. And when I had this old version of Saviola here, he was the best striker in the game for me for such a long time. I didn't even use Romario anymore. So hopefully if they release Saviola again, that'll be very good. But probably the best player in this game, I've said it so many times, and it's this Mateus. I've had this Mateus since April, I think, and we've had 2 or 3 more versions since then. And I haven't felt any need to upgrade because this Mateus is the best. Now he is a box to box. Some of the versions we get are orchestrators. It's not that he's bad at orchestrator, but he's just a perfect box to box with how able he is in every facet of the game. He's so well rounded. I actually have a build with I think it's like low 80s in defending and a lot of speed, and he's like the best defensive player I have in my team pretty much. Be the player I'd be most confident defending with. So it just goes to show how important speed is when you're building these players. The next two players are Rijkaard and Hullet. So we got these together not too long ago, to be honest, but I think these next versions will be better. Rijkaard's, this version was a build-up centre-back. I would prefer Rijkaard as centre-back, but I know most people prefer him as an anchorman like this one. So I think, if he comes as a DMF, he would be better, although there is a chance he could release as an orchestrator. I don't think he'd be a great orchestrator. I think orchestrator should be people who are very comfortable, moving into the final third. Anchorman or more your deep line playmaker type of players. So hopefully if they release Rijkaard, it will be an anchorman. They also have this Hullet to come out. So this is the one they brought out recently, and it was a whole player. I think the one I have is probably my favorite just because he is a creative playmaker. I find it's a much more versatile play style. So I thought because this Dutch version was a creative playmaker, when they released this one, it would also be a creative playmaker, but they did make him a whole player. So hopefully the new one's a creative playmaker, but there is a chance they could make it a classic 10. I think this version here is the classic 10, yeah. And I don't really like classic 10 in this game. I don't really think many people do. I don't think many people use it, but I wouldn't want to use it for Hullet anyway. For someone like Zico that we mentioned earlier, it'd probably be okay because he's more of a playmaker, but Hullet's has such a physical prowess. You want them to be moving around a lot on the pitch. And that's why I like creative playmaker the most, because they fill in any gap, whereas classic 10s don't move really as much, and then whole players constantly running behind, so you're only getting that one kind of type of movement out of them. So that's why I think creative playmakers are the best. Players after that, so we already looked at Zico. We are getting a Van Boyten. I don't think I have him up on this list here. Oh, I do here. Here he is. This guy, I never really liked him, but in Dominator loved him. And I think the problem for me is it was a destroyer. I need him to be a build-up because of how tall he is and slow he is. Destroyers are very aggressive. They can get out of position. I needed him to be a build-up so he'd stay in position and be a really solid rock at the back. So hopefully the next version is a build-up. And I really hope Konami start bringing out some build-up centre-backs, because all the legends are destroyers pretty much. The only legend build-ups I can think of are Beckenbauer and Baresi. They're both short. We get the Showtime, Van Dijk's not a legend though. Other than that, I can't really think of any. And then it does mean, actually, look, the next player, he's actually a bit further on the list. But Tomiyasu is the defensive fullback, but he's probably considered the best centre back in the game, because defensive fullbacks basically act like build-ups, because the destroyers are very aggressive. Build-ups kind of sit back. You put a defensive fullback as centre back, their play styles inactive, so they kind of just play like a build-up. Like when I use Tomiyasu, I never really use him fullback. I think he's too valuable to miss out on a centre back. But I'm surprised they're releasing him again. I think this will be this new one will be would it be his third kind of big time card? It looks like only his third, but they definitely stumbled onto something there by giving him cards, because he's actually insane in game. We also are getting a Babito. To be honest, don't think there's too much to say about him, although he usually is a dummy runner. I mean, I don't think dummy runner is effective, but I know there's some people who are kind of interested in it. We've got Xabi Alonso. Again, I don't know if this version ever releases Bayern Munich version, but we'll just go to the most recent booster. It's kind of similar to what I said earlier. I don't think he's an effective orchestrator for two reasons. One, he's not great at carrying the ball into the final third because of the lower balance. And then secondly, lofted passes just aren't that effective in this game, particularly if you're trying to play a lofted through ball. So a player like him in real life, who was very well known for the lofted passes, just doesn't perform in game. If he was an anchorman though, I'm sure he'd be fine, do a decent job, be able to hold onto the ball decent enough. But when you move him into orchestrator, even at DMF, I feel like his kind of lack of agility can kind of get caught out. But we also do have a Jan Collar coming, so I know Barry is going to be very happy. I assume this next one will have bullet header. I hope he doesn't, but I assume he does. Hopefully that cross spamming stuff kind of gets cut out of the game before this guy releases. I have Tomiyasu there twice. We're also getting a Stoichkov. I think he released pretty recently though. I don't know which version. It might have been this version here. I think this version here released recently. I'm not sure. I don't think he's very effective in the game though, just because if you look at him leveled up on this card, like he has got good balance but low tie possession. And then if you go to the other card, his tie possession improves a little bit, but then they don't have balance, or rather not enough balance to be an elite tier player. Like the problem Konami have with this game is every legend is essentially the same price. So there's no point spending your money on a Stoichkov when you can look at that Romario that's coming out on Monday instead. Like I wish they monetized this game a little bit differently, so you could either choose to spend €100 on Romario or maybe €20 on Stoichkov, but they really want you to have to commit to the pack, so that's a shame. A player we're gonna get that I'm surprised I don't have a version of, because I think I was assuming he was gonna get more cards, is Shinsuke Nakamura. This guy back in the day used to be insane when knock on finesse was more prevalent. Not too prevalent now, although I did score a good few of them today with Romario. Obviously quite a fun card, and even if you actually look at this version here, so this is for the boosters. Can we try get 85 balance on this build as well? We'd have to take off probably a good bit of dribbling, to be honest, maybe even passing. But yeah, that's a pretty well-rounded card, and with his shooting ability, he would be pretty fun to use. And we're also getting Stojkovic. I think we usually get J League versions of him. I don't think there's too much interest in him. We should be getting the Torres. I don't think Torres is great in this game. As a pay to win legend, just because in real life he was known for his pace, but I don't think pace is terribly important in this game. But this Chelsea version isn't fast at all, but he's a lethal finisher. On my free to play account, he was actually benching Romario for the longest time, the Barcelona version of Romario. And then a couple of last players, I didn't look at Schneider. I actually meant to look at him. He's obviously very well rounded too. I chose not to look at Ono though. And Donadoni, I don't think they're particularly noteworthy. But Philip Lam, he'd be the best right back for me. Yeah, I'd say he is the best right back in the game for me. The only other one I can think of is Karam, who's also in this list. I don't even want to look at his face though. I hate playing against them. And then Costa Curta, because he's defensive fullback, is very good. But if you put a defensive instruction on him, and if you put aerial superiority on him, I uploaded it in a review. I put aerial superiority on Lamb, and he was still beating Hullet in the air. So I think this Lamb and Mateus the Mateus you looked at earlier came in the same pack with Van Boynton. That's definitely a very good pack for me. So if this Philip Lamb and Mateus release together again, try not to recommend too many packs. I don't want people overspending on this game, but if you are going to spend Philip Lam and Mateus pack, definitely a very good one. Raul's kind of interesting just because I think he's the only player that is really a striker but can also play AMF. And anytime I play against Raul at AMF, he always scores a finesse shot against me. So I just thought it was interesting to kind of include him. I don't think people really are too interested in him, but if you do actually have Raul in your club, try him at AMF and try hit finesse shots with him. You should get a good bit of success. And then last, definitely not least, is David Villa. So this David Villa is almost comparable to the current Romarios. He's definitely a better finisher than the current Romarios. Maybe just a little bit less on the dribbling side of things. But he's a very good card. Now, if they release a new David Villa, so this is the Villarreal one that we got for free, and then obviously he was a paid card before. I had this version here, that's a prolific winger. And then I think this Spain one here, and this Spain one here. So this Spain one here was in the store for 100 coins. This was a 150 player pack back in the day. This is a dummy runner. So in terms of David Villa, we actually really don't have any idea what type of play style they're going to give, and it even could be a J League version, which probably isn't going to be the best. But yeah, those are the upcoming players from 4.3 update. They got added to the database. Now, not all of these players are guaranteed to come. I wonder if he's still on the database. There was a Maradona from Napoli that was in this database. Yeah, this version here. This Maradona's been in the database for 2 years now and never released. But there is a chance that Konami rather add these players to the database and never end up doing anything with them. But for the most part, most of these guys should come, and they should come soon. Let me know who you guys are interested in, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.